You might have noticed that this game actually runs very slow. It's about 1 frame every 10 seconds. So if you're planning on downloading this, make sure to stick around till the end of the video where we're going to explain how to run redstone as fast as you want. Now let's get on with the explanation. What's up guys, this is Matt.
And this is Sloymay, and we're going to take you through our journey of building Breakout with just redstone.
This took a lot of planning, engineering, and effort, so we want to show you our thought process throughout building this, and hopefully you'll get a better understanding of how it works. First, we had to ask some basic questions about how we want the game to look and behave. How should the game look? Well, those decisions are relatively arbitrary, so we just decided to make a resolution of 23 by 30 pixels, a paddle 5 pixels wide on the bottom, a ball that's just 1 pixel, and 24 bricks 3 by 2 pixels each.
How should the game work? Now, this is a question that we really had to think about. Obviously, we know that the player moves the paddle, the ball breaks bricks, and you lose if the ball gets past the paddle. If you want to make this from nothing, that is really just scratching the surface, isn't it?
How should the ball's position be defined? You need to keep track of where it is on the screen.
How should the ball's movement be defined? You need to know how it's moving at all times.
Should speed and direction be separated or kept as one quantity?
Should it only move at 45-degree angles, or should there be more types of movement?
How does it handle collision? How does bouncing off something affect the movement of the ball? What if the ball hits multiple bricks at the same time?
So, after a lot of thinking, drawing schematics, and even writing code, we created a plan for how this game will work. Every pixel on the screen will be given a unique XY value according to a coordinate system, where the origin, or the coordinate point 00, is placed just off of the screen in its bottom left corner. The pixels' X values will range from 1 to 23, and the pixels' Y values will range from 1 to 30. For example, the bottom left pixel is 11, and the top right pixel is 2330. Representing each pixel as a single point on a coordinate system is a great way to notate which pixel you're talking about at any time.
Now let's talk about the ball. The ball will only be on 1 pixel at a time, so we can represent the ball's position using an XY pair from the pixel that it's on. But how should the ball move? Well, to keep things more consistent, we decided that we want the ball to change its location every frame. In other words, the ball can't be in the same location for 2 frames in a row. We also decided that the ball should have 14 different types of movement. The ball can travel along a line with a slope of -1 or 1, it can travel up and down, and it can also travel at slopes 1/2, -1/2, 2, and -2. This makes 7 possible paths, which the ball could travel on in either direction, creating 14 unique velocities. We didn't include a strictly flat or horizontal velocity because then the ball might get stuck bouncing back and forth. So with these velocities in mind and the rule about moving the ball's location every frame, we can now look at how the ball will actually move on the screen. If the ball is at position 1, 1 with a velocity pointing up and to the right with a slope of 1, we want it to move to 2, 2 on the next frame, then 3, 3 on the next, and so on. If the ball has a velocity that points straight up instead, we want it to move to 1, 2 on the next frame, then 1, 3 on the next, and so on. But if the ball has a velocity that points up and to the right with a slope of 1/2 instead, we want it to move to 2, 1 on the next frame, but then 3, 2, and then 4, 2, and so on, which draws out a line that has a slope of 1/2. So whenever we have a nice slope like 1 or straight up, we want to move the ball to the next obvious spot. But whenever we have a not so nice slope like 1/2 or 2, we want to move the ball using an oscillating behavior, meaning that the ball is going to switch between 2 types of movement. This is okay, but we don't like hard-coding oscillating behaviors, and we especially don't like mixing oscillating behaviors with non-oscillating behaviors. It would be much better if we could somehow represent these movements in a way where they were all non-oscillating. So I suggested that we use a subpixel system. You know how we said the ball's position will be represented by just 1 pixel on the screen? Well, that's only true if you're talking about the pixel system. The ball actually has a more accurate subpixel, which you can think of as its true position behind the scenes. This subpixel position is completely hidden from the user. The user can only see the normal pixel that the ball is on, but in reality, every normal pixel has 4 secret subpixels within it. To represent these subpixels, we use the same origin as the normal pixels and count up. The beautiful thing about this representation is that conversion from subpixel coordinates to pixel coordinates is extremely easy. You just have to divide the number by 2 and floor it, which means chop off the fractional part. And since we're using all binary representation, you can do this in binary by simply shifting your bits to the right and forgetting about the fractional part. Let's go back to the example where we have a ball at 1, 1 and we want to move it up and to the right with a slope of 1/2. Well, using the subpixel system, we can simply tell the ball to move 2 subpixels to the right and 1 subpixel up. As you can see, no matter what subpixel we start on, this will always give us the oscillating behavior that we wanted for this type of slope. Pretty cool, right? If we want the ball to move up and to the right at a slope of 1, we can just tell the ball to move 2 subpixels to the right and 2 subpixels up instead. The point is, we can now define all the velocities of the ball as a constant set of subpixel movements per frame. In the normal pixel system, some movements will oscillate and some won't, which is exactly what we want for the user to see. But under the hood, nothing is oscillating. All velocities now have a consistent definition of how they move the ball every single frame. Awesome. Alright, let's recap what we have so far. We have a screen of 23 by 30 pixels with an origin off screen in the bottom left corner. Each pixel is then given a value from 11 to 2330. Each pixel also has 4 subpixels inside of it, and the ball's true position at any time is just one of these subpixels. We have 14 different velocities, which can now be neatly defined as a constant set of subpixel movements per frame. Now we're ready to talk about collision. There are 3 things the ball can collide with: the paddle, bricks, and the walls. Let's talk about paddle collision first. While playing emulations of Breakout online, we noticed that the paddle doesn't just reflect the ball in the same way on every bounce. If you hit the paddle closer to the left edge, it has a tendency to skew the bounce to the left. Similarly, if you hit the paddle closer to the right, it has a tendency to skew the bounce to the right. Since we only have 14 velocities in our game, and the paddle is only 5 pixels wide, the easiest way to mimic this skewing behavior is with a lookup table. A lookup table is just a way for us to store all possible ways that the ball could bounce off of the paddle, and we can just reference it whenever we need to figure out how to bounce the ball off the paddle. For example, let's say the ball is coming straight down and it hits pixel 5 of the bar, or the rightmost pixel. We input the velocity and the pixel number into the lookup table, which is straight down and pixel 5. Since the table knows all possible cases, it'll just output the new velocity that the ball should have after the bounce. So all paddle collisions will just be handled with a lookup table.
Next, let's talk about brick collision and wall collision. This part is extremely important. It's what makes Breakout Breakout. Breaking bricks and seeing the ball bounce off of them in a natural way is really important to making the game look and feel great. Unfortunately, it's also one of the most complicated parts. There was a lot of discussion about this, but eventually we settled on a universal collision system that can handle both bricks and walls at the same time. Let me explain it to you. On every frame, we check to see how many neighbors the ball has. Neighbors are any of the 8 pixels around the ball that are either a brick or a wall. For example, if the ball hits the top left corner of the screen, its neighbors are 7, 8, 1, 2, and 3. Or if the ball hits right there, its neighbors are 1, 2, and 3. Based on these neighbors, we now follow these instructions. If you have any edge neighbors, then just ignore any corner neighbors completely and flip the X component of the velocity for any side edges and flip the Y component of the velocity for any top or bottom edges. If there aren't any edges, then we have 3 separate corner cases. If you have 3 corners, then flip the X and Y components of the velocity because it's kinda like you're hitting a corner. If you have 2 corners, then flip the X component of the velocity if they are on the side and flip the Y component if they are on the top or bottom, and do nothing if they are diagonal. If you have only 1 corner though, this case is kinda weird. It's a mess. So we'll use another lookup table for the single corner case. And after that, we check to see if any of the neighbors were part of a brick, and if so, break those bricks. And that is the collision system. There are probably other ways this could be done, but this is what we came up with on our own without any help. It works, and it seemed easy enough to do with redstone, so we went with it.
We now have our plan for how the game will work. It was time to bring it to life and start building. Let's start going through some of the main components we built in Minecraft.
This component is the register machine. For the inputs, we have 2 sets of clock repeaters. On the left, we have the position registers, and on the right, we have the velocity registers. These registers make use of the repeater locking mechanic. They allow you to set and hold the state of a bit in place, making it a great foundation for the position and velocity registers. And then over here, we have a pink adder adding the position and the velocity together. As you can see, the output of the adder, which is computing the position plus the velocity, is actually being routed back to the position registers. So, all you really have to do to move the ball position to the next frame is quickly unlock and relock these repeaters, which we call a flash. This flash will refresh the position register with the output of the adders, and thus move the ball to the next frame. And as any registers can do, if you ever need to manually set any registers, such as when you reset the game, you can do so by feeding information into the back of them and then flashing them. Okay, let me just get down here. Boop. We flash them and then Bang! Let's see an example. Let's start by setting the ball's position to the position 2012. We can do that by inputting 20 in binary into the X position register and 12 in binary in the Y position register. And after we flash the repeaters, you can see that the position has been loaded in. Let's do the same thing to give the ball some velocity. I'll input 2 into the velocity registers, meaning that every frame the ball will move 2 subpixels to the right and 2 subpixels up. So let me just go here, input 2 here and 2 up there, and then we flash them, and as we can see, the velocity has been loaded in. So now, as you can see, we have everything inputted. So I will press the next frame button, which adds the velocity to the position and move the ball 1 frame forward. So now our new position should be X being 22, 20 plus 2, and Y being 14, 12 plus 2.
This component is the lookup table for paddle collisions. You input the current velocity of the ball and the pixel of the paddle that it hit, and it outputs the new ball velocity. You input the velocity on the bottom here using these lamps, and you input the pixel that the ball hit right here. As you can see, we have inputs for pixels 1, 2, 4, and 5 of the paddle. We don't need pixel 3 because pixel 3 is actually the middle pixel of the paddle. And when pixel 3 is hit, we're just going to tell the paddle to act like a wall with a normal bounce. In other words, we're only using this lookup table for pixels 1, 2, 4, and 5 because those are the cases where a skew trajectory of the ball is required. Let's try an example. Let's say that the ball is coming straight down and hits pixel 5 of the paddle. I'll input the incoming velocity as 0, -2, which means straight down, and I'll input that it hits pixel 5 right here. As you can see, our lookup table has outputted the new velocity of the ball, which is 2, 1, or up and to the right with a slope of 1/2. In other words, pixel 5 has successfully skewed the trajectory of the ball towards the right.
This component is the universal collision machine. This machine is the heart of the game. It's without a doubt the most complicated part, and so I'm going to do my best to go through it and explain it to you. The input to this machine is the ball pixel position. You input the X coordinate over here and the Y coordinate over there. Once you input your position, there are a bunch of adders and subtractors that will generate the 8 positions around the ball. For example, if you input the coordinates 3, 3, these adders and subtractors will generate the positions 2, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 4, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, and finally 2, 3. Once you have all of these positions, the machine will send each one through this decoder every 3 ticks. If the decoder detects that the position is a brick or a wall, we have successfully detected a valid neighbor, and we get an output right here. Otherwise, it doesn't give an output. After 24 ticks or 8 positions at 3 ticks each, the output that has been produced by this machine is saved into this register. And now, we have essentially generated a bit string that tells us where the neighbors are. Once we know where the neighbors are, the next thing it does is it figures out which components of the velocity to flip. Using the collision rules I described earlier, it will either say flip nothing, flip velocity X, flip velocity Y, or flip both. But don't the neighbors also depend on which bricks are broken? I mean, once you break a brick, it shouldn't appear as a neighbor again, right? Yes, you're absolutely right, and that's why this machine is so beautiful. When you input a bolt position for the very first time, if it detects a brick as a neighbor, it will break that brick. So it will not show up as a neighbor for any future runs, until of course the machine is reset. For example, let's say that the ball is at pixel position 12, 12. So we input 12 into the X position, 12 into the Y position, and now let's press run. And as we can see, neighbors 1 and 3 have been detected. After the neighbors 1 and 3 have been detected, the collision logic tells us that we need to flip the Y component of the velocity. And finally, the 2 bricks that the ball hit are broken. So now that the 2 bricks have been broken, if we run 12, 12 into the machine again, we can see that no neighbors have been detected.
I skipped a few details and small components that are less important, but at this point in the process, everything was built and we were ready to start assembling. We did this really carefully using World Edit. We also made many backups along the way in case something went horribly wrong. Surprisingly though, there were very little issues when it came to assembly. Not only did everything fit together nicely, But our very first test of the game actually worked. All we had left to do was build the game clock, which would run 1 frame on every cycle. We set up a very simple clock that could be started and stopped, that way we could have a pause button. And with that, we were done. It was kind of insane how well everything worked right away. We had maybe 2 or 3 small bugs to fix, but other than that, it was perfect. It came together so well, and we were playing full games just a few days after starting assembly. Let's go. Alright, as promised, I'm going to show you how to run redstone as fast as you want, that way you can get the best experience out of playing this. There are 2 main methods I use to speed up redstone. The first one is called Carpet Mod. This mod is made for technical Minecraft players and has a ton of features. This mod is a fabric mod, which means that you need to use the fabric mod loader in order to use it. I'll link multiple videos in the description on how to install fabric and of course how to install Carpet Mod. Once you install Carpet Mod, I recommend doing /carpet fast redstone dust true and go ahead and change it to permanent. This is an optimization that will make redstone run faster. The game usually runs at 20 ticks per second, but you can do /tick rate and then set it to whatever you want. I think the max is 500, so go ahead and do tick rate 500. And now when you press play, it's still pretty slow, but this is the best that Carpet Mod can do. So if this is a good enough speed for you, well then you're all set, but let me show you the second option, which I usually use more often. A really cool friend of mine, Stack Doubleflow, has created an extremely optimized Minecraft server specifically made for redstone. It's called MCHPRS, or Minecraft High Performance Redstone Server. To get started, first go to the MCHPRS GitHub, which I've linked in the description. Then scroll down to the server section and go to where it says Building. You need to install a Rust compiler before building, so click on this link and download Rustup for your system. For me, I'm going to download the 64-bit Windows installer. Follow the installer's instructions. Once that's done, open up your command line by typing in cmd, and navigate to your desktop by typing in cd desktop. Now run the 4 lines that are in the building section in the command line. So we're going to do git clone, cd mch, rustup override set nightly, and finally cargo build -- release. This is the longest one because it's actually compiling everything. You'll see a little status bar on the bottom here. Okay, it just finished and it should have made a new folder on your desktop named MCHPRS. To start up the server, go ahead and open up the folder, go to target, and then release, and then double click on mchprs.exe. You might get yelled at by the firewall, just allow access, and now you should see a black box which is the server console. You're now running an MCHPR server on your machine. We're not done yet though, we need to make my build into a schematic using WorldEdit. WorldEdit is just another fabric mod just like Carpet, and I'll link tutorials on how to download it. Once you've downloaded Breakout from the description and you have WorldEdit, go ahead and do /wand, go down to this glass, and left click it to set your first position, and then go all the way up and right click it for your second position. Then do // replace iron block with white wool. This is because MCHPRS doesn't support iron blocks. That's how optimized it is. Then drop down to the floor and go to like the middle of the build as best you can and do // copy // save breakout. Now we have Breakout saved as a schematic, we just need to transfer it to MCHPRS. Close the server if it's still running, go to %appdata%, go to .minecraft, config, WorldEdit, schematics, and then go ahead and find Breakout, copy, now go into MCH, target, release, make a new folder, named Schems, go into that folder, and paste. Also, rename it so that it doesn't have the extension anymore. Now go back up to release, and go ahead and start the server again. Launch Minecraft, go into multiplayer, direct connection, and type in localhost, and then connect. And you're now connected to the server on your machine. Go ahead and drop down to the floor, get as close to the middle as you can, and do // load, Breakout, and then do // paste. And now you can run Breakout as fast as you want. Just do RTPS to set the redstone ticks per second. I found that a good spot for Breakout is about 700. So I don't know why the signs are messed up, but I think this is the start button. So that's going to drop the ball. And as you can see, it's a really comfortable speed. You can just press A and D on your keyboard to actually move the bar now. And yeah, you're playing Atari Breakout in Minecraft. Please consider subscribing to me and Slurme, it really helps us out. His breakout video is going to be released really soon. My Discord is in the description, we've got a really cool Minecraft community going. And you can also join to ask either of us any questions you have. We love meeting new people.
Well, we hope you got something out of this and that you enjoyed. And we'll see you next time. Peace out.